Right, today it's been quite a very interesting day, and I would just like to ask you, what exactly are the banking trends when it comes to the shipping industry? Do we expect to see any major changes in the forthcoming years?
Okay, I think this was one of the main kind of topics for discussion on the banking and ship finance panel. And I think there's still a bit of nervousness on the part of the banks in terms of how 2017 will develop. Certainly 2016 was quite a tough year. But I think for the first time in quite a few years, it was nice to see talk about green shoots again, some potential light at the end of the tunnel. Still very nervous in respect of the optimism, but there seems to be some element of getting through the darker days, but equally acknowledging that we're not yet out of the tunnel just yet. But no, it's still I think wanting to keep a little bit of focus on some of the positive things that were coming out.
Is there a specific time point that you can actually see the banking trends changing in a positive way when it comes to investing in the shipping industry?
I think, judging from the discussion today, I think this is one of the key things that probably focuses more on actually which particular segments we're talking about. There were discussions about whether container segment would be something that looking more positive. There's been sufficient consolidation in that type of market. Other markets maybe more challenging, such as offshore. LNG again was mentioned as being one of the potential positives for 2017 coming through. So I think mixed views, but still positive elements in that sense.
Words like uncertainty, compliance, geopolitics, all this has actually been discussed today. And I would like to ask for your comment on this. How do you think they will actually impact the industry when it comes to shipping?
Okay, I think primarily from the banker's point of view, the key issue in terms of economic and political factors coming through tended to be linked to bank regulation. As you mentioned, compliance, and one of the statistics coming out from the discussions was for every relationship front office member of staff, there were 2 compliance officers. So it's an indication of I think how the market is developing. In terms of the kind of political factors, I think in that sense, again, it was linked to the banking regulation and potentially shipping specifically as well. Shipping being seen as potentially a profitable industry and sector, but actually also a high-risk sector. These are some of the factors being taken into account in terms of what will impact the lending policies at the shipping banks. But generally still optimism, and I think probably more specific focus on the industry itself and how that will develop rather than the external factors.
Would you actually say that loosening the strict regulatory framework, would that help in order to invest in the shipping industry again?
I think that would help enormously, but realistically I think it will never happen. I think it's very clear that it's going one way, and that's going to be more regulation, more compliance. And even myself as a lawyer, I think the legal profession is becoming more about compliance and regulation than anything else. So I think, yes, going back to your question, it would be very nice if there was less regulation, less compliance factors to deal with, but actually I think realistically it's going to head in the opposite direction, becoming more regulated and more compliance.
Now, a couple of comments about the Capital Link event. You've been coming here, you've been participating for 7 years. Just a quick comment.
Well, time flies when you're having fun, so it's been a very interesting 7 years. Seemingly some very difficult years, certainly in the shipping and the ship finance market. But no, it's a fantastic audience, a fantastic market. I've been based in Greece for coming up to 8 years now, so it's a fantastic event, and hopefully I'll be back for another 7 years.
Thank you.